Offbeat Intros is a section of the show devoted to learning more about the artist. The YouTube channel is to promote the show. If you would like to hear full songs, please use one of the links in the video description to listen to the full show.
This is Offbeat.
This is Offbeat.
So I went hell for leather with a fair few shows, with interviews after interview, and then mainly due to burnout, because I do have a day job as well, I decided to chill out a bit on getting guests for the show. So I am pleased to get back to it after a slight gap. It's taken a few months, but this band, for one, and have a good reason. A new album was in the works from this post-millennial ska, reggae and punk influence collective. Born from a health scare and launched during a global pandemic. See, I knew it. A lot of artistic gold would come from the lull of the past year or so, and this collective definitely proves me right. I am very pleased to introduce Laura Betts on vocals, Sean Williams sax and Bobby Blenko on the trumpet for the new musical collective AKA The Syndicate. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
What I'd like to do first of all is welcome you to the Offbeat Reggae Radio show. This is Offbeat Intros. It's broadcast on 17 radio stations, and I'd like to help you gain a few new fans and a platform to show off what you do. If somebody wants to take the floor and give a little bit more information on AKA The Syndicate and how it came about.
Yeah, so AKA The Syndicate. Gary Knight, who's not with us at the moment, but he's our founder. He, I think back in May 2019, decided he had all these songs in his head that he wanted to produce, and he decided that was the time when he was actually going to make a song, an original song of his own. So he was working with Aaron from the Trojan Beats on vocals, and also Fiona and Bob from the collective AKA, which is Gary's usual band that he was in before AKA The Syndicate as well. He then got Roddy Radiation involved on the guitar. They produced a song called Hands Up, Who's Coming With Me, which ended up sounding fabulous. Went down really well with everyone. And then I think Gary got the bug and decided that he was going to collaborate with more people. Obviously, when the pandemic happened, people weren't gigging. Gary's got lots of contacts from different bands and started drawing in different people from different bands to collaborate on these songs that he'd written. So it kind of came from that. I think Gary would always say it was only supposed to be one song, but I don't think the plan was ever to do an album, but here we are. We've done one now. So
yeah, well, while I was doing my prep for this chat, I've managed to listen to the entire album, enjoyed it very, very much. If anybody took my word, I would say pop yourself out and stream it and download it and buy it and do as much as you possibly can to support the band. However, they need a little bit more coaxing than that, I am sure. So therefore, we're going to have 2 tracks lined up from you to give a good all-round look into the band. The first one you've actually already mentioned. I wonder if you could introduce it and we'll get it on.
Take it away, guys.
Well, go on then, Sean. You're on this one, Sean. You go for it.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks. Well, I played with Gary on the first one, and which is Fu Manchu. This is the second one we did with actual vocals. The first one was a bit of an instrumental. So this one is Hands Up, Who's Coming With Me, and it was our first proper single as AKA The Syndicate.
AKA The Syndicate, Hands Up, Who's Coming With Me, in brackets. It features Roddy Radiation Byers from, of course, The Specials. Can you tell me how that came about? You've said that he got involved, but, I mean, did you know him before, or how did that come about?
I'll just take this one up. I met Gary when I played for the Pyramids of Simmerip at Brighton, and he came over to me and asked me whether I'd play on a song with him. He got some ideas and what have you. So I played on basically an instrumental song. Initially, my main band is The Beat, who I play with Everett Morton's band. But he just said, can you do something else? And we did that, thought nothing of it. And then he got all these other people together, and suddenly he's got all these other songs he wants doing. But as Laura quite rightly said, initially it was just going to be one song, and that was it. But it sort of grew a little bit more than that, yeah. But it was good fun, and Gary was wonderful with it. And Hands Up, Who's Coming With Me, getting Roddy involved. I knew Roddy from past. Gary had met him, phoned him up, and he just said yes, he'd love to do it. So very good of him, really. So obviously having Roddy on the single is fantastic. Such a big plus point. And his guitar, and he's wonderful on this.
He did 2. So Gary said, do you fancy doing another one?
Yeah.
He nailed it so quickly. He said, do you fancy doing another one? So Roddy's actually on two songs on the album,
nice.
Which is amazing.
So you just turned up for the recording, and you just went, do you fancy while you're here?
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, cool. Well, that song, very much enjoyed it. The next one that we've got lined up as well, I'm very much looking forward to, because it actually has a friend of the show, but we'll come to that in a little bit. For now, though, what I'd like to do is throw it across to you and say, what is it that you'd like to push? I'm guessing the fact that you have a brand new album out. For somebody that is brand new to the band, could you give them an idea as to what they can expect from the 12 tunes that are on it?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to take this one away, Bobby.
Yeah, go for it. So I think anyone new to AKA The Syndicate will immediately be drawn in to how diverse the sound of the band is, purely by the fact of what it is, the nature of the beast. Like it's a collaboration by so many different individuals and musicians that each song has its own sort of narrative and its own sound, but the whole album together, it doesn't sound like a song from a different band. Each track, it has that same sort of overarching sound to it, but with individualistic components to it. So if you're someone who likes to listen to all sorts of different music, and especially all sorts of different ska, reggae, rocksteady, anything like that, then you're really going to love it. The different vocals in it from all the different vocalists involved really give it a different shape and dynamic to each tune. So yeah, it's really worth having a listen to if you're into any of that sort of music. We've had loads of feedback and comments from some of the singles that we've put out already, saying that it reminds people a lot of that original sort of two-tone era, which is really humbling for us, because obviously everyone in the band are big fans of that sort of music anyway. Yeah, if you're a fan of two-tone, if you're a fan of ska, reggae, anything like that, then definitely check us out.
So we've spoken so far about the fact that it's a collaboration of multiple different artists, but haven't necessarily talked about everybody that's got involved with the album. Could you help us out there?
Well, this is where I have to get my list up, you see, because there's so many of us. I think we've got a football team and also a bench. So
right, okay.
So we've got Gary Knight, who's obviously the founder we talked about before. He's bass, keys and guitar, and he originates the music, the songs sort of on Logic, and before he passes it over to us to kind of flesh the songs out. Got me on vocals, you've got Sean on sax, Bobby on trumpet, as we know. Then we've got a guy called Reg Shaw. He is the lead singer in a band called London Calling, which is a Clash tribute band, a very, very good Clash tribute band. He does a couple of vocals and a couple of songs. Got the lovely Clara, who we're going to hear shortly, from DACA Skanks. She's on a couple of songs. Fiona Crease is on trombone. She was in the Collective AKA with Gary, as I mentioned before, as well as Bob Deere on drums, who is also Collective AKA. We've also got Aaron Two-Tone Malone, so he's Trojan Beats, so he does a couple of vocals. Maxine, who's a lady who uses the same studio as us, which is Panther Studios. She's on a track on the album. And yeah, as we mentioned, we've got Roddy and Dick Crippen, which is our producer. He is also on the album playing bass, so there's a real mixture of different people from different bands. I think I worked out there's like 14 people from covering about 16 different bands.
That's crazy. I actually have a question that has a regard to that and how everybody got in contact, but we'll come to that in a minute. What I want to do now is the next song on the album that we're going to play. This one came out in July as a single, and I spotted a friend to the show who you've mentioned already, Clara from DACA Skanks. Please do introduce the tune. We'll continue chatting afterwards.
Yeah, so this is Save It. I think it's the third proper single that came out with the music video, and as you say, it features Clara from DACA Skanks.
It's the Offbeat Reggae Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me. And still on the line with me, I have three members of AKA The Syndicate. We've just played their song Save It, the second song that we've played from their brand new album. Now, I don't want to keep you much longer, but I'm actually very interested in how the multiple different members who make the collective actually figure out who's playing on what, how you know each other. Is it just friends and favours? How does this work?
Gary is the hub of the wheel, so everything kind of started with Gary's contacts. I personally got involved because I was obsessed with Hands Up Who's Coming With Me and spoke about it on another radio show, which Gary heard and then messaged me saying, do you fancy guesting on a couple? And Bobby and I know each other from before because Bobby plays with the Scartonics sometimes. I think it's like mainly Gary's contacts and then Gary's contacts. It's just built out from there, really.
Yeah.
Cool. We've got something cool going on. Do you want to get involved?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I think, like, as I said, like the pandemic amplified it all, because normally we'd all be out gigging in our bands. When we're all stuck at home doing nothing, we want to be creative. So it was the absolute perfect opportunity to sit down and do something a bit different and be creative and create something new, something good out of it. Rubbish time.
Yeah, well, no, I remember watching I think it was a history program that talked about the previous biggest like negative influences on human history when it comes to this kind of pandemic situation, and something amazing has always come out of it in one way or another, whether that be music or art or film or screenwriting or something like that. Something amazing has always come out of it. So I've kind of been expecting something to start and then to find that there's something to look forward to, and this is very much an opportunity to listen to me being right. It's about time, let's be honest.
Right, yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of that. You're going to find that now. A lot of like people's creativity over that lockdown period. We'll start seeing it now. Everyone's out gigging again, which is it's a silver line into a black cloud, but you know it is one good thing that's come out of it.
Yeah, we've had two of your tunes. What I'm interested to find out now is more where the influence to those may well have come from. I asked for 3 tracks, as I usually do, and then I choose one that may well fit the show and ask you to explain where the sound of AKA The Syndicate comes from, bearing in mind what previously you've listened to.
Do a bit of a round the table on this one, can't we? I think the bit that unites us all fundamentally is two-tone. We're all massively into the two-tone movement, but then we've got influences outside of it. So, you know, I'm into also house music and Blondie and, you know, lots of other things. And you guys, I guess you've got your own influences, which we think then comes across on the album. Bobby, I know you had some influences that you were mentioning yesterday.
Yeah. I think outside of the sort of ska and two-tone world that I have loved listening to for years and years and years now. Before that, my main passion was jazz, and still is really. Jazz trumpet is where my influence for the love of the trumpet and the love of music comes from.
I guess mine was starting off with Dexys Midnight Runners, I suppose, in my youth. My cousin played in Dexys on the first LP, listening to the brass on that, and it just blew my mind, really. And then having the two-tone movement come up, I got dragged into the indie sound as well at one stage and what have you, but it's all just manipulates yourself. I mean, when I hear the songs, I was so shocked when I heard the sound come back, what we'd actually produced. It was fantastic, really. I don't like to blow Bobby's ego up too much, but his trumpet is really superb on a couple of them. But I think that's...
That's very kind of you, Sean. Thank you. Likewise.
The AKA Syndicate brass section is phenomenal. It really is like a huge part of AKA The Syndicate. Like Bobby, Sean and Fiona together just sounds absolutely fabulous, and it's one of the best brass sections of all time, I would say. Oh,
there's nothing wrong with a little bit of ego massage. I don't mind that at all.
Exactly.
So the 3 songs that you chose were from pretty legendary bands. Let's be honest. We had the Specials, we had UB40. They were ones that I grew up with as well, and were some of the driving force to me starting the show that I do. But the one that you ended up choosing was the Selector and a specific song. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about where people might hear a bit of the sound of the Selector, how that's interwoven into AKA The Syndicate, and also introducing the song for me.
I think with the album being as eclectic as it is, this pick one song was very, very difficult. For me personally, Celebrate the Bullet by the Selector influences Two Sides of the City, because it's got that kind of dark, haunting feel, those background vocals and harmonies and things, and it almost sounds like it could be like a bit of a James Bondy type dark song. So that song was definitely an influence on Two Sides of the City, but we could have picked 100 songs that would, you know, influence this album, because there's just so many different styles on it. But yeah, so Celebrate the Bullet, the Selector, is the one that we eventually had to choose.
So it is the influence track for AKA The Syndicate, The Selector, and Celebrate the Bullet. I'm Andy. I am just saying goodbye now, sadly, to some members of AKA The Syndicate. They have had 2 of their songs on the show. If you missed it, don't forget that you can always listen back on Mixcloud. But their new album, self-titled, is out now on streaming platforms. You can buy the CD album from akathesyndicate.com, as well as some other rather tasteful merchandise, which you should get involved with, most definitely. All I'd like to do is thank you very much for your time. It's been great having you on, and just throw it across to you for anything lastly that you would like to put across.
Well, we have finally almost got a band together to play next year. The initial thing was not to actually go live with them and just be a studio project, but we've had such a great response from the LP. that we decided to go and actually play live next year. Now, the first gig we've actually got is the London Ska Festival at, I believe, the O2 in Islington. So that's on July the 30th next year. I mean, there'll be other things, I guess, that will erupt around that same period. Yeah, we've got an idea who the band's going to be, who's going to play in it. So that's a big push. And hopefully by that time, there'll be an LP2 out as well. So our second LP, which is underway as we speak. So we've just got to do that one as well.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I look forward to whatever is being released next. I very much have enjoyed the album that you've just thankfully sent to me. I'm in a very, very lucky position, I must admit. But yeah, it's awesome. I really like it, and I think that other people should get involved as well. If you would like to find out more about AKA The Syndicate, don't forget akathesyndicate.com. Also, for having a chat with me, you instantly become a featured artist or band, which means that you will get your own page on the Offbeat Reggae Radio website as well. So I will endeavour to have that up when the show drops on Mixcloud the Friday morning. Of course, this show is then rebroadcast for 2 weeks afterwards on 17 radio stations, so I hope that you managed to pick up some brand new fans, and you may well be seeing them at the London International Ska Festival.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andy.
That's one.
Thank you very much.
Guys, it's been lovely. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to what is being released in the upcoming future.
And us, yeah. Thanks for your time, Andy.
Cheers, mate.